This all happened back in 1993 when I was just a kid. Our family had just moved into a new house in a quiet, sleepy town. The kind of place where everyone knew each other and nothing much ever happened. That's why Mr. Abernathy stood out so much. He lived in the house directly across the street from us, a small, perfectly kept place with a pristine lawn and blooming rose bushes. My parents told me he was a nice, elderly man, a bit of a recluse, but harmless. The first time I saw him, he was trimming his hedges. I waved like any polite kid would, and he just stared. He didn't wave back. He didn't even nod. He just stood there, motionless, with the shears in his hand, his eyes fixed on me. They were a pale, washed-out blue, and they seemed to look right through me. He looked old, maybe in his late 70s, with thin white hair and skin that was crisscrossed with deep wrinkles. I remember feeling a chill, even though it was a warm summer afternoon. I ran back inside and didn't think much of it. Kids are easily spooked, right? But as the years passed, something started to feel wrong. I went from elementary school to middle school, and then high school. My friends and I grew taller. Our voices changed. We got our driver's licenses. The whole neighborhood aged around us. Mrs. Gable next door got a walker. The Peterson kids went off to college. But Mr. Abernathy, he didn't change. Not one bit. He had the same thin white hair, the same deep wrinkles, the same pale, vacant eyes. He wore the same rotation of faded cardigans and pressed trousers. He still trimmed his hedges with that same unnerving precision. It was subtle at first, something you wouldn't notice unless you were really looking. But I was looking. I lived right across the street. I saw him almost every day. By the time I was 16, I was convinced Mr. Abernathy had not aged a single day in the 8 years we'd lived there. I tried talking to my parents about it. Dad, don't you think Mr. Abernathy looks exactly the same as when we moved in? My dad just laughed. He's old, son. Old people look old. That's just how it is. My mom told me I had an overactive imagination, but I knew what I saw, or rather, what I didn't see. No new wrinkles, no more gray hairs, because his were already white. He didn't seem to get any more frail. He never used a cane. He just existed. A static image in a world that was constantly moving forward. The creepiest part was the stillness. He'd stand in his yard for hours, sometimes just staring at his rose bushes or at our house. Always perfectly still. One Halloween, my friends dared me to go ring his doorbell. We were teenagers, full of stupid courage. I crept up his walkway, my heart pounding in my chest. The house was dark, except for a single dim light in a front window. I reached the door and hesitated. Through the thin curtains, I could see a silhouette. It was him, Mr. Abernathy, standing in his living room. He wasn't watching TV or reading. He was just standing there, facing the door, as if he was waiting for me. He was completely motionless. I didn't ring the bell. I turned and ran, faster than I've ever run in my life. I never told my friends why. How could I explain that the scariest thing wasn't a monster jumping out, but the absolute certainty that the man inside knew I was there and had been waiting frozen in time. My family moved away the year I graduated high school. I never saw Mr. Abernathy again. Sometimes, late at night, I wonder if he's still there, still standing in that perfectly kept house, across from a new family, a new kid, still trimming his hedges, still not aging, not changing, a permanent, terrifying fixture in a world that never stops. Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. They're just meant to haunt you. Thanks for listening. And if you have a story like this, I'd love to hear it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.